Welcome to Your Epic Pursuit. I'm Mike Mooney, and I'm thrilled that you've joined us here today. This is a space where we have meaningful conversations with leaders and people, really, to learn more about their journey, a lot about their path and their work along their we call epic pursuit. And as you know, if you've been listening to the show for a while, we actually kind of walk through the different epic lens points, which are excellence, presence, intentionality, and curiosity. And you'll hear some of that woven through the conversation today. And the goal is really, really, really simple. We just want to provide you with some insights, some tools, some resources that will help fuel and accelerate your pursuit in life. And it's just as simple as that. It's just a place for us to gather, slow down a little bit to maybe learn a little bit more and sharpen our saw. And today I am so excited to have our guest with us today. And in full transparency, our guest, Shay Hoelscher, is a close personal friend of mine. We do work together, but someone who I admire greatly for the work she does, not only in her business, but also as a philanthropist as well. And Shay is the CEO and founder of Privé Products, which is an award-winning, clean, high-performance beauty brand built on the belief that beauty should be kind, inclusive, and transformative. She has more than 37 years in the professional beauty industry and has held senior leadership roles at some of the world's most iconic companies, including Sebastian, Wella, Nioxin, TG, and Unilever, before she decided to step out as an entrepreneur, and I mentioned as a philanthropist, to build a brand that reflected her vision and values of innovation, purpose, and most importantly, giving back, which you'll hear about in her story as we get into it. But what's really cool about Shay is that beyond the business, for her, excellence doesn't stop like there in the boardroom and in the executive meetings. She's also a Porsche GT3 Cup race car driver as she competes in one of the world's most demanding sports, proving that courage, resilience, and passion know no age or boundaries. And through her unique intersection of beauty, business, and motorsports, she is breaking stereotypes and inspiring women to chase their dreams fearlessly. What I can tell you about Shay and her work is that she truly is an engine for good. And that's something you'll hear more about as well for her business. But really, she's committed about using her Privé brand as a platform, as a foundation for positive change. So Shay, thank you so much for making time to be with us today. I've been so looking forward to this time.
So wonderful. It's just my pleasure to be here. I can't wait for our conversation.
They're always good. It's so funny when we talk, we often say, this is just a great conversation. And gosh, now we have a chance to have it there, share it with people in the world and continue to share and the impact you're having and inspire some more folks. So tell me, Shay, as we're thinking about things in your world, you've got a lot on your plate. A lot of priorities, but what's something right now that's got you really excited, whether it's in business or just in life in general that you're focusing on right now?
Mike, I love that question. I have so much energy from this incredible opportunity of not many people have the opportunity to have like this incredible capstone in life. Like I am living my dream that I never thought I'd be able to do. It's like the capstone of bringing my life work, which is a beauty business, and building a new brand. And then it's where it meets my absolute heartfelt passion, and that is motorsports and racing. And never thought in a million years when I launched the brand that I would have this piece meet and match and support in the voice and what we're accomplishing and what we're doing and the difference that we're making. It's just every day, it feels like it's such a reward. I love it. I'm having such a blast doing it.
What a gift that is, right? To have that season in life where you look back and there are times when you realize that all the experiences and the roles and sometimes the challenges, you look back and you realize, wow, these were all kind of stacking for me and what I'm doing today, although you may not have realized it at the time, And I think it sounds like you're at that season where you're like, wow, I have this chance now to look left and right, like you said, being at that intersection and create some things that are pretty dynamic and I would say impactful, not just for yourself, but for other women, for drivers as well, right?
it's pretty incredible. I mean, I think about, we all are very blessed um, to have this life, and we're blessed to be able to make decisions and choices and do things in the way we want to do something that's going to make and have a positive impact.
Yeah.
And I feel so grateful for the opportunity and what I get to do.
Yeah. You know, if we could, yeah, I'm a big believer that motorsports is an incredible, I like to call it a petri dish, right? Where for
Yeah.
leadership, for life experience, for things that you learn behind the wheel at the track, racing a competitor, preparing for a race, things like that. I'd love to just kind of take a step back though and learn a little bit more, or have you share a little more about that journey in racing. I mean, people can understand the business side of your career in the beauty industry, but when did racing kind of come alongside of that and become such a part of you, or was it always that way from when you were younger? Can you share that story?
No, it started with my passion and love for cars. So
Okay.
always was in a family that loved cars. And my dad actually started, he raced go-karts, and I was a little girl, and I was at the track with him. Um, so I knew that I always one of my milestones in life was at some point in my success in my career, I always wanted to buy a Porsche 911. And what's interesting about that journey is once I bought my first 911 back in 2009,
Mhm.
because it's such a mechanical marvel, had the opportunity to take it to a beginning level of high performance driving where there's a skid pad and a slalom and a oval and all the different things you learn about car control and understanding the dynamics of the car and how it works and how capable it is and all the things that you're just like with a fire hose of had no idea how things worked in a car at that level. So that led me to the next level, which is like so many things in life. You start at a very, novice foundation. Then I ended up at the racetrack in my street car. And
Okay.
then I was very and I guess it's like playing golf. I'm not a golfer, but I guess it's the same thing. It's an individual sport in a way that you want to get better. You want to get faster. There's ways to
Mhm.
get faster.
Yeah.
It's all of the things and parts and pieces of becoming a really great high performance driver. So then um things really spiraled when I bought my first race car. And
And what year was that?
the
So
race car
2009 is when you really got this, when you got the car.
got the bug. And I was literally bitten by the bug.
So,
Literally bit by the bug. And then in 2018,
okay, so 9 years later.
so
Okay.
9 years later, having have the skill set, driving, very capable, high performance street cars on the racetrack, very good, became a national Porsche Club driver instructor, ran all the driver education days for the local region here, very passionate. And this has always been a thing for me, but this is where it really started and was like on steroids was
Yeah.
when I first went to the track. I was, of course, the only female. I was the only female of 50
Mhm.
men at the track in their fancy street cars. And once I discovered the sport and knew that it was going to be my sport, I've been an athlete my whole life. I was a marathon runner. I was a endurance cyclist. I was a triathlete. I mean, I've done all the things. I've always been an athlete since I was very young. Well, this was my new sport. And I thought, you know what? I love this so much. I really want to get more women involved in the sport. And it's so funny, Mike, because when I took over the position of driver education chair for the club and running the track days, there was no women. And I said to the instructors, I'm on a mission and I'm going to bring more women to these days. And they looked at me like I was on crack, like, there's no way, girlfriend, you're going to get women to come to this day. And sure enough, because of my enthusiasm and my approach and business and all of it,
Yeah.
I filled up a complete day. And it's so funny because, of course, the instructors, which were all men, said, wow, this is way more fun than instructing men because women are so malleable and they listen, they do what, yeah, you give them tips and they're great followers. And when it comes to doing without the ego and all the stuff that happens on the track and the competition.
Yeah.
So it really started there with my passion and my purpose to get more women in the sport. And
Mhm.
so fast forward 2019 is actually when I took delivery of first race car. And then that was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I was so capable in the street car. This thing it's a beast. It's daunting. It's scary. It feels like a tank. I mean, all of it.
Wow.
And
So it was completely different. So were you expecting it to feel more like the street car
I thought
when
it's a 911. It's a
right?
Porsche Cup car. I thought
Right.
it's gonna maybe feel a little more powerful. It runs on slicks or stickers, so
Yep.
got more, it's got more mechanical grip, but it was daunting and, to be quite frank, scary at first. So
Okay.
I think about, which is everything in life, the learning curve, and life doesn't start until you're on the edge of your comfort zone, which has always been my mantra anyway in life. This was it, right? So I had to kind of start over. And and it just such a thrill, and it's such an incredible sport, and it's so hard, and it's hard to, I mean, it's really a sport, and it's a skill that takes a while to tune and curate and get good at. It's hard. It's challenging.
Without a doubt, because as you mentioned before, like golf, where the players are often playing the course, and then there happen to be competitors that they're trying to get better scores in. In racing, you as the driver are racing against the course, the track itself. You're
Yes.
also pushing your equipment to the edge on every lap, and you're
Mhm.
trying to do that while you're trying to avoid your competitors, stay out of trouble, avoid their mistakes, whatever that
Yes.
might be. So it's so incredibly dynamic. And I know for the folks that listen to the show who are familiar with racing, you totally get it, and you're like, yeah, absolutely, Mike. But for those who aren't as familiar with racing, and you think in many cases they're just turning left or left right or whatever it is, it is so dynamic. And to hear you, Shay, from that perspective, saying, look, you were comfortable as an instructor and then went to the next level. And what I love about that is, we've talked about this before, and this might be where you applied this in a way, is that you had been at a level as an instructor, but then when it was time to get to that next level, it's almost like you had to have that beginner's mindset again,
Mhm.
of starting again and having to learn it and get uncomfortable and push it and find the edge, find those boundaries, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is so much like so many things in life. It's
Hmm.
really about challenging yourself and looking ahead, always looking ahead. I mean, that's the number one thing in driving a race car. You look as far ahead as you possibly can. You take it all in. I mean, things happen so fast,
Yeah.
and where you look is where you drive. I mean, you always going to be looking one, two, three, four turns ahead of wherever you are, so that um, there's no surprises, and you
Yeah.
can respond and react.
Yeah. I've always heard that where the driver's eyes go is where the car follows,
Hmm. Yep.
So that's spot on. So let's take that, 'cause what excited me about this conversation is that I don't often have the opportunity to show such a great bridge from racing to business, and the leadership skills or the experiences you have there behind the wheel, and how you apply those, not just to business, but also in life. As you were saying, before, of one of your passions is helping women, not just in motorsports, but get into motorsports and succeed. You are the primary sponsor. Privé is the primary sponsor of Sabre Cook, who drives in the Porsche Carrera Cup series. So you have a vision of helping other women succeed in their goals too. So can you share a couple of either lessons or things that you've learned behind the wheel that you've used in business or you're using in life? I mean, you mentioned one there of always looking ahead, always kind of scanning to see what's out there to avoid trouble, which is great in terms of I'd use that as a my way of saying anticipation, right? You're anticipating what could happen. You're looking at the what ifs so that you can be prepared when you go in, which clearly applies to business. But are there other things that you've learned that have been helpful for you, Shay, as you look at you being an owner of an amazing brand?
I think they're very similar. It's like You have your true north in business. You have your core pillars. You want to stay on track with who your brand is
Mm,
and what our messaging is. And I think that it's really easy to get distracted and get caught up in either competition or the noise around us and all of that. When you're driving a race car and you're competing, it is an incredibly not only a physical sport, but it's so mental. Like any true pro athlete knows, it's 98% mental and then 2% of, the technical aspect of it. And to me, the preciseness and the mental capacity to stay committed and to stay in it and be positive if you have a bad day or a bad race or you spin or you go off the track or something happens, right?
right.
And not to get in your own head, but to stay literally on track and just keep pushing and moving forward. And I think it is so clearly aligned with running a company, running a team, dealing with all of the outside influences and the changes and pivoting and doing things differently and redefining and all the things that you have to do in business, especially now in 2026. And when I look at my playbook as a CEO owner now, as it was, gosh, I can't believe it's been almost 40 years, but literally the way that I am running and going to market and communicating my brand and all of it is so different than it was. I mean, it's so different today than it was a year ago
Sure,
because of
sure.
um, all of the technology and the advances and the way that we are just as human beings. We're completely evolved, different humans. But I
Yeah,
see that's no different in as you evolve as a race car driver, understanding what happens and how you pivot and how you respond to what happens in the car and driving and getting better and challenging yourself mentally.
yeah,
The mental game is huge. And it's the same in business. I mean,
right.
I launched the brand in 2019 and there were some pretty scary, dark days during COVID thinking, wow, I'm not sure I can do this. And the whole mind and the monkey mind that plays tricks on you and says, it's not possible. I can't do this. And it's like, never give up. Just
Right.
always stay on track.
So let's go there for a second, Shay, and go maybe just a little deeper with that because I think a lot of people, maybe people who are listening or people who are listeners, know go through those moments of doubt, go through those moments where they're like, "Is this worth it? How am I going to get? How is this going to happen? How is this going to work?" And I'm curious, like, how do you or where do you go in your mind? Like, how do you get yourself to kind of like pump the brakes instead of listening to the monkey mind that's going to jump in? Like, do you do something or has it become just so ingrained now that it's like, okay, I know when I start to feel this, if my gut starts to get tight or if I'm getting too much information or whatever, I can do this and I can slow down to kind of again scan the track, scan what's going on around me to maybe slow things down a little bit so I can make a better decision. Or I'm just curious if there's something that you've either trained yourself from behind the wheel that's helped you to be able to kind of get yourself through those dark times, like you had mentioned in
I think
2019.
I think there's a similarity in my personality and the way I kind of attack things, if you want to call it that, in life. One of my weak spots is patience.
What?
I
I can't
find
believe that.
I find myself being very impatient. Ha ha. Very impatient. And it's funny because when I'm being coached from the pros behind the wheel, and if it's dissecting a turn
Yeah,
and, carrying the speed rather than attacking the corner. And what happens is if you attack the corner, then it's going to take you longer to collect the car to, it's to get out. I mean, it's all about getting out of a turn as fast as possible and being on the gas.
right.
And it's funny. It always shows up. It's like somebody will say, Shay, you're faster going into this turn than I am. Like you're like, whatever the number is, a half a second faster. Right.
Yeah.
And I always laugh because it's like, there it is. And just being patient. And I have to ask myself every day, just give me patience because
Yeah.
you want everything faster, quicker. It's just who I am. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm driven. I'm trying not to be as focused on the outcome as I'm focusing on the activity. And one of the things I just read that I love that has become kind of a new mantra, and it's actually I was very inspired because it's the CEO of NVIDIA, and it doesn't surprise me that that company has such gigantic success. Leaders determine the pace of the pack, as we all know, right?
Yeah.
And one of his things in business in the company is it's not about it's about the game rather than the outcome. And I love that, Mike,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I always tell my coaches, my pro coaches, one of them being Sabra, who coaches me,
Yep.
I always tell her, Sabra, my whole intent is to have fun. And to me, when I'm having fun, I learn and I'm better. I am. That's how I learn. I want to have fun. And so taking that and employing it into what I'm doing for privé and having fun and enjoying the process, enjoying
Yeah.
how lucky am I? I get to choose who I get to work with now.
Right.
Customers are not chosen for me. I get to choose. I'm redefining what a beauty brand can be. And that's one of the things that's
Yeah.
really important to me.
Yeah.
And all of the things that come with what we're doing to make a
Yeah.
difference.
And you hit on something there too that's super important is it's about a team, right? A team of
Mhm.
people that are working, whether it's a coach like Sabra or as well, it could be a collaboration with someone like Chad Cook, right? Who's
Yes,
a professional
exactly.
hairstylist
Yes.
that you work with, out of LA, who's also contributing and part of the team, but brings a different
A huge
perspective
part of the
to the
team.
business, right?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
So
cool.
with that, we talk about this. I love the focus on the activity and not the outcome. I think it's so important that we realize sometimes when we're setting goals, whether it's for ourselves personally or if we're leaders with teams, we will set some pretty big goals that when they feel good and we write them down, but then when we start taking a few steps and we're like, okay, we're still doing well, but then you start getting along the journey and you look up at this mountain, you're like, how in the world are we going to get
Mhm.
there?
Mhm.
And I know I've been there before, and what you run the risk of as a leader is people just sort of quietly going through the motions and go, okay, yeah, well, and then coming up with excuses of why they couldn't get to where the next milestone is. And what I thought was always very powerful, we did this when I was working with Roush Fenway Racing, or Roush Keselowski now, is, we had our goal, but then we broke it down into the activities, like you were saying. It's like if we
Yep.
needed to get to this point in the point standings, we knew there's a certain number of steps we'd have to take. So every day it was really the focus on what's the step for today.
Mhm.
Forget about the big goal, because if we hit these steps each
Mhm. I
day, inevitably we'll go ahead and we'll hit that outcome, that goal, you know?
think that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So as it relates to the business, we know that which by the way, I'm a big fan of. You know that.
Thank
And
you.
that
I know. I
I'm a
love that.
customer.
Amazing hair. It's of course, an amazing product to go hand in hand.
Well, you should have seen me. I was a mess before Privé, and now, my goodness, it's
Okay.
just fantastic. Sorry, shameless plug there, but I do love the product. Krista and I do argue over where it's going when I get in the
Oh,
shower, and I'm like, what is going on? So I got to get on the monthly auto order system that you have there for sure. So the business though for you is, I look at your business, and maybe I'm simplifying it here. I try to be a simple man. But to me, it's this triangle for you where you have, in no particular order, but it's the business and your racing, and then philanthropy. I know
right.
giving back and using your business as a platform, using racing as a platform, not just for helping accelerate other women's careers and opportunities in the sport, because you're a big supporter of that in different organizations. But talk a little bit about your philanthropy work, because you've made a commitment through Privé that I think is just outstanding and for an amazing cause. So can you talk a little bit about the work you're doing in philanthropy and how that kind of
Yeah.
all
I
pulls
mean,
together for
it
you and your
really,
heart?
really stems back to one thing. It's where I feel like purpose over profit is really what privé is all about. And those are one of the great things of the journey that one's on and the journey that I was on. I saw working for all of the very big multinational companies it was always about one thing. It was about profit. It was about margins.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Where are the returns, right?
my passion to um, help make a world a better place, giving back is huge, and it's so rewarding to use and be able to be proud of my organization, the company, and the work that we're doing to help others. And so we give 1% back from every top line dollar we make to an incredible nonprofit organization called Project Beauty Share. And Project Beauty Share helps women in need and helps give them hope and helps restore their dignity and hopefully gives them a second chance. And it may seem kind of trivial, like somebody might say, Shay, I don't get it. So you're giving to a nonprofit to help them give them shampoo conditioner. But if you come to a shelter, which is the average person, and she's a female that has nothing but the clothes on her back,
Right,
absolutely nothing.
right.
If she can't, enjoy and have, get clean and feel beautiful and feel worthy, I mean, there's no hope. So
Yeah,
the work that we do by giving Project Beauty Share all of this hygiene product is gigantic, and it's so
right.
rewarding because it literally has helped turn women around. And they support all of hygiene items. So they might do, they sanitize, gently use makeup, and that goes to the shelters. And then of course the biggest thing is the feminine hygiene, and of course simple
Yep.
bar soap or shampoo. Huge.
Yeah.
And it's really rewarding because they have invited me to be on their website called Champions of Impact, because we are one of their partners that are really helping support them, and we're also their title sponsor for their up and coming annual fundraiser. So it's very meaningful to me.
Yeah.
I think the work they're doing is just incredible,
Yeah,
and
and
so many people.
it so aligns with your heart, and then also with the brand and the product, that you have. I think it hits something. It's important to recognize too. I'm a big believer in meeting the world from the inside,
Mhm,
and how you feel from here first and
mhm.
foremost. But there are times though, and I would imagine with a lot of these women and a lot of people who are in these challenging situations and shelters where you're not feeling that inside. And sometimes it's how you
Oh,
feel on the outside and just how you look and the fact that you feel clean and that you've got something that you can hold your head up a little higher, right? That might help them just take that step that they need to that day. I think it's just so um it speaks to your heart, in my opinion, how I know you as not just an entrepreneur and an innovator, but as a philanthropist who truly wants to make the world a better place and has figured out how to make this connection where it's just like the engine for good. I mentioned that on the intro, right? And saying that, the engine for good. So maybe talk about that a little bit and how that
Engine for
plays
Good.
in.
Engine for Good is just such an awesome tagline for the brand and our voice and who we are as a company, because it really brings, I mean, it's like a little fun play on words because of the motorsports, of course, and people that know the company know what we're about, and they know Sabra. And my personal passion for racing is, the engine, right? But we really are using um, this platform for, engine for good, force for good. And
Right.
we chose to use the word engine, but then it's also a part of bringing community together. And whatever somebody has some sort of thing or engine that they want to do that bring their community together and help make the world a better place. So it's a combination of um, the big thing besides Project Beauty Share is our sponsorship for Sabra, which is a really big deal to be her title sponsor
Yeah.
and to do something that really represents all the future generations that anything's possible. She's the only female racing in probably the most competitive, fierce, gritty race series in the world. And I am so proud to be standing next to her and cheering her on. And I know how incredibly hard the lows are so low, the highs can be high, but she hasn't gotten to that super high yet. But
Yeah.
it's fierce. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's probably the hardest sport in the world is racing. I think.
I'd agree because the lows can linger for a lot longer than the highs will hang around, because you're always on to the next race. You've always got another challenge. You've always got something you're trying to overcome in that sport, whether it's financial, whether it's competition, whether it's your equipment, whatever it might be, even your own mind. So I agree, which is why I was saying earlier why I really I I believe that the folks who have been in racing in particular approach life and business from a different perspective,
Yeah,
vantage point, because
I agree.
they understand that, look, I'm going to anticipate that it's not going to go the way I want it to, but you know what, I've prepared 2 or 3 or 4 other ways that I can work around this, just in case one were to pop up. It's that idea of preparation.
Yeah,
you know
it's just an incredible sport and
yeah.
enduring. And I love what we're hearing right now through the beautiful game, which is of course FIFA's in our country right now.
Yeah.
And I've heard like Messi and who is the other athlete who's playing on our team for the USA who plays on the Milan football club, a Christian I'm gonna screw his last name. Anyway, he's
I'm
another
gonna stay out of it because I don't.
he's absolutely incredible, and his whole passion is, which is how I feel about motorsports
Yeah.
and women in motorsports, is I want our country to accept it and support it and love it and appreciate it like we do for baseball and football. And
Right.
either there's another form of racing called, as you know, NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's a lot more well known, and people think racing is NASCAR, but I want to be a part of the community that spreads what this sport is about, because it's so
Yes.
special. I mean, it's huge everywhere else in the world except for our country. I
hmm
mean, sports
Well,
car racing.
yeah. IMSA sports car racing, all the series in there,
Yeah,
it is one of the most, I would say, even now, up and coming
it
sports
is.
on so many levels. The streaming audience is surpassing NASCAR in some levels. So I mean, the popularity is certainly there.
Right, right.
No question. The other word I was thinking about, because I want to put a bow on that thought, was it's the preparation that racing gives you in your mind, but it's also the perseverance, right? The perseverance to keep showing up just another day to do your work and just get a little bit further ahead. You
Yeah, I
know?
think perseverance is huge. And even if days where you're testing, um, not one day is ever going to be the same. And
No.
obviously, at the highest level, you should be exactly this. I mean, they even at the highest level in Formula One, they're not the same every race. They're not the same every day they test. It's
That's
just
right.
we're humans. I mean,
Yeah.
it's our minds, it's our bodies. It's
Yeah.
just incredible. But
Absolutely.
perseverance and grit are
And grit.
probably the two things that are like so critical in the success
Yeah.
and the fun and the game and all the things I talked about.
Yeah. So Shay, with all the things and the places you've been, the work you've done, groups, teams you've led, uh, even up to today with privé, is there a leadership principle? Is there something you've discovered along the way that kind of this delivers for you time and time again? As a sort of, maybe it's your mantra, maybe it's just sort of what you lean into. But is there something that you could share with the listeners here that might help them as
You
they're
know, I think
yeah.
I think there's two huge things. The first
Mhm.
thing is I always lead with my heart.
Mm.
And I feel like in all the times of having very critical, hard conversations as a leader and even as a younger professional coming up through the ranks, um, being leading, speaking from your heart and being honest,
Mhm.
I think is has never served me wrong in any situation ever.
Yeah.
And never give up, and don't let
Yeah.
anybody tell you you can't do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love it. It's too easy today, and too many reasons why people opt out, because they see and they compare, and they just their self value and worth isn't quite honestly what I think truly is what's inside of them. And I think if there's one area that we could improve, where I'd love to see people leaning more into is something I've been working on personally, is that area of self-worth,
Yes.
and what we bring, and not like worth in an ego standpoint. It's
No.
just that we are worthy of the good things that can happen. We're worthy of doing the work, to get things done. If the good things happen or people love us, then we're worthy of those things.
Right.
So I love all the things you're saying here, Shay, without a doubt. As we wrap up, though, I do want to just I do this on the shows, and I want to go back to a couple of points I made, or you made, excuse me, that I took note on as we were going through here. That I love to kind of like wrap it
Love it.
back up, because you made so many great points tying from racing to business, that I want to make sure we don't lose them and we can share that. So the first is your idea of reducing your distraction, right? Something that racing helps you do is reduce the distraction, to as you said, stay on track. And for you, it was with your brand messaging, your brand direction, but the best you can, try to reduce the distraction around you to make better decisions. The fact that precision and mental concentration are so important for you. I mean, if you think about the tools and skills you have, those would be the two that stood out to me from the conversation that have helped you achieve the levels of success that you've had. Wow, this great message on focus on the activity, not the outcome. That I'm not even going to get into that anymore. Just people, please focus on the day to day, right? Pick up your shovel each day and get the work done. Um, the leader determines the pace of the pack. So that is a phenomenal soundbite there. That I think leaders should all recognize that if we're leading a team, that we're the ones who determine that pace. Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? Are we going in the right direction? How are we as leaders leading by the example of the pace that we're setting as well? And then these other great ones of having purpose over profit, the perseverance and grit being your foundations. Remembering to have fun. Let's have fun along the way, folks. We life's too short not to. And the fact that you love leading from the heart, right? Honesty, and never giving up. Shay, those are just great words of wisdom, that I'm so grateful that you were able to share today with us and sharing your story. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on, or something maybe that you want to mention about privé or anything? Where can we get your product? I know where I get my products, but
privéproducts.com.
oh, there you go. There you go.
Directly to our website. And you can also, if you are a fanatic Amazon shopper, which there are many people,
Yep.
our products are also available on Amazon.
I love it. I love it. So privéproducts.com, find them on Amazon. Support a brand that's supporting the community is all I can say. And it is a product that I stand behind. There's no endorsement deal going on here. Or maybe we should talk about that, Shay. Can we talk about an endorsement deal? I'd like that. Maybe someday. But Shay, thank you so much for carving out the time in your schedule to share your story, your heart. It just means so much to me that you would do that. And I'm grateful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Such a fun conversation. Loved
All right,
it.
friends. Well, listen, thank you for joining in. Would love to get your comments if you want to drop them down below, your thoughts on the show. And as I always say, until we meet again here, remember that your best is yet to come. Cheers.
Love that.